What do you know about the Unabomber? Well, the Unabomber, or as we now know him as Ted Kaczynski, killed 3 people and injured 23 in an almost 20-year mail bombing campaign, making him one of the most wanted domestic terrorists in American history. When he was finally caught and arrested in 1996, his cabin was raided and then later seized, and in Ted Kaczynski's possession was found a number of firearms, including one interesting one in particular, a hand-built single-shot .22 caliber pistol, labeled Pistol for Homicide. Teddy K was not one to beat around the bush. This pistol was obviously seized by the FBI, but I found it to be a very interesting piece of American history, firearm history, and just all around really cool. But since it's a one-of-a-kind firearm that's probably sitting somewhere next to wherever the government keeps the Ark of the Covenant, there was no way we were ever going to get our hands on it, which is why we decided to replicate it. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are looking at the Ted Kaczynski Unabomber pistol. Now, when I say Ted Kaczynski's pistol was handmade, I mean it was literally handmade. These are the tools the man had access to. I mean, the man's not even rocking a DeWalt drill. It's a lot of hand tools, files, hand crank drills. The only real pieces of modern technology that he borrowed from be this right here. This right here is a Crosman 130 air pistol, and it was the barrel and action of this that he borrowed to make the guts of his handmade pistol. See, it's a .22 caliber pump air pistol, but the thing is, the rifling that they use on this air pistol is the same rifling that you would use in a .22 LR. So he just bored out the chamber for an actual .22 long rifle and then made an actual functional bolt behind it and built the pistol around that. Just for funsies, you load in the round there, push it in, rotate and lock it, and then we're gonna pump this 6 times. Aim, pull trigger, and enjoy. Fun little air gun, not enough for homicide. I'll let you debate how much of a step up .22 LR is over something like this, but nonetheless, that's what he chose. But the neat part about these is that they're not regulated as firearms because it's an air gun, meaning you can just buy one and get it sent to your house in the mail.
He was apparently opening his mail in his office at about 8:15 when the bomb went off.
So now that you know a little bit more about how this gun came to be, let's talk about how to load it. So first off, you might notice this lever here, as if this were a bolt action. So one might think that you rotate this up and pull this lever back. That's not, in fact, how this works. It kind of puts uneven tension on our striker here, so realistically, you just have to pull that back first and cock the gun before you can pull this lever up, and it just kind of freely goes to the back. Next, we take our off-the-shelf .22 long rifle ammunition and put it in the chamber here. Take our bolt, slam it forward, and it rotates down, locking the gun so that the bolt can't come flying back under the immense recoil of .22 LR. Now you can see we got a loaded gun. Our firing pin is right here, sitting out from behind the bolt so that when the striker comes forward, it's gonna smack that firing pin, igniting the rimfire .22 LR cartridge and committing murder. Sights are remarkably okay. This pistol and its consequences will be a disaster for this guy in 3, 2, 1. Here you go. And now we pull our striker back again, unlock it, and unfortunately, there is no extractor in this gun. So, thanks, sir. We'll need a, this is just an AK cleaning rod, sort of rod to put down the front of the barrel to knock out the fired casing. There you go. And we are good to reload. So let's do all that together again. So you pull back on this, unlock the bolt, drop your round into place, push the bolt forward, lock it, and then boom, fire. So really not too bad as long as you have access to a dowel rod. So is it fast? No. Does it work? I mean, that guy thinks so. Boom. This is normally where I'd make some tongue-in-cheek reference to SDI.edu down in the description in the pinned comment, but Ted Kaczynski didn't exactly have a thing for college professors. So Zach is actually our head gunsmith over at AKG, and he really took lead on kind of reverse engineering and bringing this gun back to life. So on a scale of 1 to 10, in comparison to other projects on the channel, how hard?
It's not particularly difficult, it just took a ton of time.
Just tedious?
Yeah, if I had to put a number on it, 1 to 10, I'd say it's probably like a 5 or a 6. We wound up using pretty much every tool in the shop to make this thing in order to, cheat a little and not make it entirely by hand.
You mean you didn't use a hand crank drill?
No.
No.
No, we don't have a...
Not clone correct. Garbage.
Damn.
Speaking of Ted Kaczynski, I had a package come in. Let's see what's inside. Oh, thank God. It's just my monthly Tac Pack. Tac Pack is a monthly subscription box where you can get cool shit like... God. SOG knives. Radiant charging handles. Sure, it's like the one I'm actually wearing now. I got this from Tac Pack. Rangefinders that probably shouldn't be thrown. Fuck. And much more. And be sure to use the code AKGUY at checkout to get your free $60 tactical box. What surprised you the most about it?
The most tricky part of the whole thing that got me off guard was this whole striker assembly. You'd see this thing's very crude and janky looking. We got a big lead cast weight at the back. But what surprised me about it was how many tries it took to get this thing to reliably ignite cartridges.
Just a lot of friction on the underside there.
Yeah, the striker's kind of right in between, sandwiched between two pieces of wood, which is not great. Wood on metal tends to be kind of sticky. So we wound up putting pieces of brass in there to get it to glide more smoothly. We had to change the spring in here. We had to lengthen the striker, make a new firing pin like 3 times. It was surprisingly difficult.
ADD break. So both of these pistols are technically .22 caliber, but let's see just how much more energy is delivered by the Ted Kaczynski pistol than his air pistol that he started with. So first off, we're gonna load the air pistol. Lock it there. Pump it 6 times. I don't know if that's the amount of times you're supposed to pump it, but it seems to make this pistol happy. Okay, air pistol, firing in 3, 2, 1. So for 350 feet per second, we're actually able to make a little pinprick hole there in the front, and it had enough energy to rip out the back. Let's see what 22 LR does.
Make a trade.
Make a trade. All right, so let's pull this back here. Load the gun. Good girl. Pistol for self-defense in 3, 2, 1. You know, it's moments like these I completely forgot I had no ear pro, and now I'm gonna have to sleep with the fan on a little higher setting tonight. It's really not that bad. It's only 22 LR, but that's a no-no. Don't do that at home. I get complacent sometimes, and that's not good. Do as I say, not as I do. Legitimately, kids at home, if you think it's cool to not wear ear pro at the range, I kind of thought so too when I was a young teenager, and we were just shooting shotguns or just shooting 22s, and now I have like beyond military grade tinnitus. So please wear your ear pro. All right, so significantly more energy here. We don't just have a pinhole out the front, we have dramatically more energy transferred onto target. I say dramatically, it's still at 22, but you can definitely see the difference between an air gun that's traveling at roughly, I don't know, 350, 400 feet per second, and a full power 22 long rifle. You, the guy she told you not to worry about. Now there are photos of this gun that you can see on Google Images and things, especially when this was part of an FBI touring museum where you could go in and see it. But the problem with trying to replicate this gun is that you can only see the gun from certain angles, and it really wasn't enough to go on. So we actually reached out directly to the FBI. After a couple of months of correspondence, it's honestly a very long story, but after paying a couple of interns, we actually got access to several photos of this pistol that don't exist anywhere else, at least not for public consumption anywhere on the internet. So the photos you're now seeing on screen are actually photos that are kind of an exclusive. These are the first time that anybody who didn't have access to those archives are seeing these pictures of the Ted Kaczynski pistol, which I think is really cool. I'm also gonna be posting these pictures over on social media, Twitter, stuff like that, just so you can save them and share them around as you see fit. So at the end of the day, we just wanna preserve history. But thanks to some of these pictures, we were able to get a much more complete picture of what this gun was and how it worked. I can't actually show you the building of the gun because, well, let's just say that I've learned my lesson about posting homemade gun tutorials on YouTube. Well, we actually have a complete special on how we built this gun available now on Pepperbox, our own streaming platform that we built to be able to post uncensored stuff where we're free from, the restrictions of YouTube, where I can actually show you guys the cool behind the scenes stuff that I want to show you. So links to that will be in the description and pinned comment if you really want to check out the inner guts of this thing. But thanks to the photos that we had, the tools that are available to us, and of course, modern 3D CAD modeling software, we were able to pretty faithfully recreate the gun. And yes, I am fully aware of the irony of using 3D CAD software on a modern computer to recreate the Unabomber handmade cabin pistol. The irony is not lost on me.
One of the things I noticed when we were going through all the pictures is at one point in the FBI's possession, they've Sharpied a giant case number on the side of the barrel.
Fucking course they did.
I meant to do that to get it a little bit closer, but I forgot.
We'll do it later to be officially clone correct when we put it on the wall.
Yeah, the things we do for clone.
Now, something else that you had mentioned before, something I didn't know about, was he was also making a suppressor for this.
Yeah, he said in his journal that he made a homemade suppressor. Something along the lines of it reduced the sound by about 1/3, which is not as much as he would have liked, but it was functional. Unfortunately, we don't have any pictures or info on it. My guess is that it was, you know, some sort of oil filter, you know, ghetto rig suppressor, and the FBI may not have even recognized it when they went through his stuff.
One would have thought it would have been a red flag to be going through Ted Kaczynski's stuff and see an oil filter despite no car. But hey.
Yeah, so speaking of car parts, that's where most of this gun came from. Ted also said in his journal that much of the gun was constructed from various abandoned cars around his property. I don't know who abandons cars up in the mountains of Montana to have enough to scrounge together into this, but that's what he said.
Like what kind of car parts we did? Like the bolts and shit like that here up front, or?
Yeah, so there's little various brackets, and like this castle nut probably came off of like a tie rod end. There's this little thing there, came out of a steering mechanism of some kind.
And most of the stuff is just here to be a spacer, correct?
Yeah, all this weird stuff stacked up here is just to give tension between the metal bits and the wood bits to keep it all sandwiched together firmly. Then there's just all these weird shaped, weird size brackets that I figure are like hose brackets off a car or something like that.
Yeah, no, I think you did an awesome job at like trying to figure out, you know, you just see screws on the side of a gun and you have to figure out like what the fuck are these screws for? Because there's a lot going on the inside of this gun that's pretty complex that I guess you could see on Pepperbox because we can't show here, but it's pretty not intuitive. It's
kind of like doing detective work where you can see the outside of the gun and you know, ammo's got to go in there somewhere, there's got to be a firing pin somewhere, etc., etc. And you just got to kind of make parts and then figure out how they fit together and figure out what you did wrong and redo it. But yeah, it was especially difficult because this gun is very unlike any other firearm out there.
I specifically ordered next day air. Anyway, the Unabomber pistol. It's a really cool handgun, and truly, it's a really cool piece of history, even if it's a particularly dark one. Ted Kaczynski's an interesting guy. There's a lot to him, especially when it comes to, you know, some of the MK Ultra stuff, some of the declassified things revolving around his life and all that entailed. Purely for history's sake, I would encourage you to read The Industrial Revolution and Its Consequences. It's a good read if you've never looked through it, and honestly, remarkably based. But I think it's a great example of how you can agree with somebody on a lot of the problems while disagreeing on the solutions. Because at the end of the day, mailing bombs and killing innocent civilians is, controversial take here, bad. But I think it's important that we don't censor history like that. Because while it's not my job to filter history and things that have happened, I do enjoy preserving it. This is a cool passion project we've been working on for a little while behind the scenes. I'm glad to finally be able to bring it to you. If you enjoy stuff like this and you'd like to see more of this style of content on the channel, let me know down in the comments. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. If you've been here for a while, we appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. And as always, I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers at the post office. Thanks.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top.
You. Oh, I didn't pump it. That makes sense. So Zach is our head. Fuck. There you go.
I'm your head.
Yep. Too easy.